Hey, what's up guys, it's Victor from Cyborg for Life, and I'm finally back with another video. Now, today I want to revisit one of the most popular concerns that patients have about limb lengthening, and that's the potential long-term effects after the surgery. Now, in my original long-term effects video, I discussed things such as scarring, muscle stiffness, malunion, and so on, but today I want to go a little bit more in depth on a few other potential effects that could linger. And so we're going to go over about 6 different factors that could affect your later life. So first up, we have osteoarthritis, also known as articular degeneration. The articular cartilage is basically this nice paved surface at the end of your bones where your joint junctions meet, and it gives you the smooth gliding-like effect for pain-free movement when you're doing things like squatting, running, jumping, and so on. Now, if this cartilage undergoes enough wear and tear over the years, well, you probably guessed it, you could be in a world of pain later on down the line. So how does this breakdown of cartilage happen? Well, for one, bone malalignment. If your bone alignment deviates even just a bit from its natural axes, you could be causing repetitive shearing force on the joint and thus expedite the breakdown of this special protective surface, especially if you're an active person who likes to do physical activities, like your boy here. So how can you avoid it? Well, if you're working out, you just want to make sure that you have perfect lifting form. You want to reduce muscle imbalances as soon as possible. And when it comes to limb lengthening, you want to make sure that your surgeon lines your bones up properly and monitors it along the way. This is especially true for femur lengthening patients who could potentially lengthen into a valgus, causing them to develop a mild knock-knee deformity. Now, most patients won't have this issue because their current structure isn't predisposed to having this problem, but having an experienced surgeon who can monitor and observe along the way can help you avoid it altogether. Next up, we have bone hypertrophy and/or bony protuberances. So when the surgeon performs the osteotomy by breaking the bone in order for you to lengthen your limbs to either get taller or fix your discrepancy, well, when the bone heals and consolidates, it's most likely going to do so a little larger than before. Now, this is the body's natural way of reinforcing the break, much like muscles do when they break down or tear. They, heal back a little larger so that it doesn't happen again. And when the bone remodeling happens, it shouldn't make it look like nothing ever happened, but in some cases, the ossification of this bony callus, where the break was, may in fact remain and stay bigger than before and not slim back down to size. This actually happened in my case when I saw my recent x-ray. And why did I get in a recent x-ray? Well, quick side story. A few months ago, I was training heavy and I felt a tweak in my left knee. Yes, this is a side that I had limb lengthening done on. How unfortunate, I know. Anyway, I tried to work around it, but I felt some residual pain, so I went in to go get it checked out. Now, the surgeon was a knee specialist that I saw. His name was Dr. Scott Tarantino. He did a fellowship at the Hospital for Special Surgery in New York. In fact, he was Dr. Rosbrook's roommate at one point, which was really cool because we chatted about limb lengthening and it was all cool. But anyway, when we looked at the x-ray, he could tell that I had an internal implant because of the screw and rod canals that were left over. So for those of you who are trying to hide it from future doctor checkups, well, you might be able to do so from the primary care physicians, but those orthos, they know what's going on. So anyway, looking closer at the radiograph, we saw a bony protuberance or bone spur in my knee joint, and he suspected that that could be a long-term effect from the reaming of the intramedullary canal in preparation for the internal nail that I had done nearly 9 years ago now. Now, he suspected that this bone spur was not the cause of my knee pain, although he was wondering maybe it was irritating some other structures of the knee, and so he offered to shave it down if I wanted to, but I said, you know what? I'm going to take the conservative approach, and I'm so glad that I did because my knee is feeling better. I did some self-tests on what I thought it could be. I thought it was a partial lateral meniscus tear, which it could be. I'd have to get an MRI to verify, but due to being a discrepancy patient for years and doing things like track and field, heavy lifting, and all the ligaments of the knee stretching out, and from the imbalance of my height, causing for gradual displacement of the joint and thus making it easier to strain the meniscus or whatever. But anyway, my knee is feeling better, so knock on wood, let's keep it that way. But this all reiterates the fact of the importance of bone alignment, okay? So yeah, after seeing my x-ray, it also confirms the fact that after limb lengthening, your bone may not streamline back down to its original size, although it's unlikely to cause any problems. I just thought that I'd point that out for you guys who haven't hit your 5-year post-surgery mark yet. All right, so our next long-term effect is soft tissue puncturing. Now, this applies to people who are getting external fixators done, primarily in the femurs, because those metal pins that go from the outside through your muscle into your bone to fixate it and hold it in place when you're getting the lengthening done. Well, yeah, these things are there for a while, and they can weaken the wall of fascia in your vastus lateralis, which is the the outer part of your upper thigh muscle. This can eventually cause you to develop a hernia if you build enough muscle mass in your thigh, which will push through those holes of this weakened wall. If you go in, your surgeon may be able to fix it like Dr. Conway did for me, but you got to check into that. These external fixators could also lead to deeper scarring of the dermis and the muscle itself, creating these adhesions and scar tissue buildup where I think it could actually decrease range of motion and thus performance to some extent, unless you get some sort of treatment modality like A-stem that can help realign those fibers and you stretch out so that you get that full functionality back of the tissue. All right, so how do you avoid it? Well, I think you either opt for an internal lengthening nail for the femurs or save externals only for the tibias. See, I'm not a huge fan of the external fixator on the femur because I had an external fixator on the femur and I know it was torture. So I can only imagine what it would be like for lengthening. Mine was not for lengthening. It was after getting hit by a car to fixate it. But anyway, it's less common nowadays, guys. But if you get it done, just know that those are some of the risks that you could be associated with it. The next long-term effect is nerve irritation and or numbness. Now, when you get limb lengthening done, a lot of times the nerves are stretched and can become irritated and or numb, which can linger for years. I know because I had some numbness in a small spot near the fibular head of my lower leg. Now, sensation has since come back, but in some patients, you got to realize that it might not, okay? And using one of the statements that my surgeon uses, it's the cost of doing business, because and that applies really well here because this is an elective surgery and anything can happen. We want everything to go perfectly fine, and a lot of times it does, but sometimes it doesn't, and you just have to expect that we technically don't have to get this done. Whether you're getting it done for getting taller for cosmetic reasons, to make yourself feel more confident and feel better about yourself and change your life completely, or you're getting it done for a discrepancy to balance out your hips and avoid all kinds of medical issues later on down the line. Regardless, the point is that this is an elective procedure and we can technically do without it, but when you undergo that procedure, there are risks involved. So how do you avoid this? Well, for one, you can lengthen at a proper distraction rate where your nerves can keep up with the amount of length that you're getting. But there's a catch-22 because if you go too slow, well, you could develop a premature consolidation for patients who heal bone regenerate really well. And if you go a little too fast, well, then you can get a non-union for patients who don't heal very well. So you got to really kind of listen to your surgeon and monitor things very, very closely. Decreased athletic performance, and this is a really big one because there's always a chance that you could lose some physical ability on the other side of limb lengthening. This is especially true for cosmetic limb lengthening patients who were not handicapped before the procedure. Stature lengthening patients, they need to make sure that they maintain as much function as possible throughout the surgery, and then on the other side, they want to focus on regaining anything that they did lose in the first 2 to 3 years post-op. This is why a lot of patients tend to stick to a more conservative amount of length rather than pushing things to the extreme, so that they can regain full athleticism. Now, you still have to do 3 things regardless of what amount of length you're getting if you want to regain your full athleticism. 1 is to heal your bones fully and ensure proper alignment. 2 is to regain full range of motion and acclimate to the new bone length. And 3 is to strengthen the muscle through this full range of motion, okay? Now, achieving all of these things could take years to do, especially if you let time take its course. That's why I always preach to go ham on your physical therapy and rehab for, a year to a year and a half after the surgery, because you're going to be surprised about how well you recover if you do. But a lot of patients don't, okay? They get lazy and complacent. I mean, I understand that because I almost did. But, I kicked it into high gear when I put my motivational factor in front of me, okay? And the final long-term effect is varus and valgus and or muscle imbalances. So for patients who have a limb length discrepancy, even when they get their hips, the limb lengthening, and they get their hip height balanced, and, depending on how long they had their discrepancy, they could still technically retain this angular deformity, okay? Because I know this. I still have a little bit of varus and a little bit of on the leg that was shorter and a little bit of valgus on the leg that was taller. Now, I walk perfectly normally, but, I'm really in tune with my structure when I'm training heavy and intense, and I can tell, there's not perfect alignment there from the years of being in a discrepancy patient because of all the torque and stretching on the knee ligaments, thus affecting my biomechanics, which could lead to muscle imbalances, which could lead to knee joint subluxation, which I mentioned earlier, okay? So how do you handle this? Doing things like unilateral training, which means working one side at a time. A lot of times, like if you're doing leg press, doing one leg at a time, being very cautious of your exercise and lifting form, because the body is a very fine-tuned machine and it can tell when it comes to precise little subtle movements, and you want to make sure that those subtle movements are going in the right directions through the right forces and not shearing pressure on the joints, okay? Now, this might only apply to patients who have a large enough discrepancy, but, I just thought I'd mention it to you guys for you discrepancy patients that that's something you got to be aware of. So yeah, guys, as you can see, limb lengthening can leave its mark on you long term, most of which is negligible, especially if you're aware of what it is and how to deal with it, and you pick a really good and experienced surgeon and do your consistent, proper rehab. Do understand that these things are there, but how to also avoid them along the way. In fact, Dr. Peter Thaler, who I did an interview with earlier this year, he said that he really liked the name of my YouTube channel, Cyborg for Life, because he said, Victor, after limb lengthening, all patients are cyborgs because of the metal implants and whatnot, but hopefully they're cyborgs for life because of the good effects of the surgery, you know, to get taller and feel better about themselves or fix their height imbalance, and not the bad effects. Okay, because, you know, we always want to get through the surgery and come out better or, you know, the same as before. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe, and until next time, this is Victor from Cyborg for Life, signing out.